Shad is one of the most talented musicians making music today, with a discography both incredibly impressive and diverse. His writing and witty lyricism especially stands out, whether it be in some of the best freestyle verses you'll ever hear, or a more somber love ballad about a failing relationship like He Say She Say from his third album, Flying Colors.
And you would always say, wait till I'm the unsigned hype, the best 10 freshmen, the new star, trekking with the next gem, the next gem, the next big thing on planet rock. Get the guap, prosper and live long. When you're Kirk, girls wanna cling on, wanna get beamed up, wanna put some bling on. Same old song, except they sing wrong. Baby, if you liked it, then you should've put your BlackBerry ring on.
Shad's creativity with his pen particularly exhibits itself in his clever wordplay. One thing I love about Shad is the thematics you find present in his music, whether it be through an entire album like a short story about war, or just one song like Telephone.
She's so off the hook, but when I'm letting go of the telephone, she goes off the wall like a hella old centerfold. Should've left the cell at home, we're breaking up, can't hear what she's saying, but I get the tone. Nah, I've never known. Say you mean well, then how come I'm left alone when I need help? This female won't take my calls. It's like pool, and that's her cue to break my balls.
His penmanship never ceases to amaze me. From the very beginning of his career, Shad's talent was evident, and his debut album, 2005's When This Is Over, is one of my favorite debut albums of all time. Shad was barely past 20 years old when he recorded this album, yet he shows a depth of perspective most people could only hope to achieve in an entire lifetime. And this is especially evident in the final track of the album, A Story No One Told, which, in my opinion, is one of the finest and most beautiful songs ever written. I'm not being hyperbolic and exaggerating when I say this. If you're watching this, there's a chance you haven't heard the song. I recommend you give it a listen and visit me back here. I'll leave a link in the description. I feel like this is one of the rare songs that should be listened to in full without being spoiled, so you can be fully hit with the raw emotion and storytelling without any spoilers or preconceived expectations that I might offer. So this is me offering you a spoiler alert before I dig into the majesty of the song. The song opens to the sound of crickets chirping and a soft piano melody setting the tone with a sort of melancholy ambience in the backdrop. This leads to a calm but catchy guitar riff and a relaxing percussive tempo that all comes together to complement each other and the lyrics equally. The song's lyrics open with the hook, which offers some thematic foreshadowing. You only hear the hook at the beginning of the song and at the end of the song. The first hook will frame the verses of the song and offer some context, and the final hook wraps it all up in a perfect crescendo.
Picture life etched in stone, life sketched in poems on sidewalks and dry chalk next to homes. Picture all you've left alone and kept in reflection, shown you don't, sketched in subjective tones. Picture life on a sidewalk, frame it so all you've ever felt, try to name it. It's called you, picture it in the space between steps. It's the grace between breaths and the message in this make-believe text. Picture.
The first verse starts with some beautiful yet poignant imagery. In a very poetic way, Shad lays the foundation of the song. It's the story of a man in his dying days, laid in a bed with his loving wife. The man's about to pass away and ascend to the other side. However, as he sees the light, he is having an out-of-body experience. They say when you're about to die, your life can flash before your eyes, and this is what the man is experiencing. He's now vividly remembering every detail of his life from cradle to grave. These are memories he looks at fondly, and he's proud of his story.
God exhaled, the moon shivered in a blue river, stardust fell. Through space released and gave its peace to a man in his place beneath, graciously as he laid asleep, draped in sheets with his honest wife in the gold days of his old age. And on this nice August night, his soul raised. He saw this light, the calmest bright like Coldplay. It was all yellow and in its gold rays he saw his plight as it showed him the youth that he forgot about, like how he blocked the spout on his house's hose and not let the water out. He thought it out and wondered how he remembered it all. How younger he'd enter the halls when summer surrendered to fall. Then he wondered, was his life through? In slumber under this bright moon, like skies after thunder, the light grew and more from the limitless stash of images flashed and poured from the reservoir to mimic his past. He saw himself with his wife growing old, his children's lives he filled with pride as the light showed his soul and his brilliance died.
The second verse starts, and it's the very last moments of his life. He's about to die and take his final breath, but upon reflection of his life, he begs and pleads with a higher power that If time could be stopped for him to etch out his life story, it would represent everything life is and supposed to be, because, in the words of the old man, as much as art can mimic, nothing's as real as a life told from start to finish. The verse ends with his wish being granted. As time stands still, the man grabs a piece of chalk and begins to paint the town.
And it was dead black in his eyes. A voice said that it was time, but he was steadfast in his mind. So he said back and replied, please, seeing my life like this, it made me think I could state succinctly everything life is. If you gave me ink, I could maybe print every speech and thought and release my plot. On the streets I've walked with a piece of chalk to paint the sharpest image of a heart. Cause as much as art can mimic, nothing's as real as a life told from start to finish. Suddenly the man awoke with a violent cry that strangely didn't seem to disturb the silent sky. His wife was still beside him under the blanket enclosed, and when he looked up at the clock he saw the hands and it froze. So the man just arose, put his hands to the roads, and began to compose the most candid of prose.
The third verse begins, and as the man is telling the story of his life through the chalk, nothing's being veiled, nothing's being held back. He's simply retelling from start to finish everything he's done, every person the man's encountered, and the conversations he's had. There's no need for metaphor or any artistic interpretations, just simply the man's life. He titles his work The Story of the Man That Died, implying he's just an ordinary man. There's nothing special about him. Upon completing his work, death leads him back to his bed, and the man passes away peacefully. Upon waking the next day, the townspeople and his wife are first saddened by the man's death, but then they're quickly astounded by the art painted all over town, from the man's home all the way to the outskirts of town. People travel from far and wide just to witness and read the man's story. Despite it being just the life of an ordinary man, people were stunned and in awe. What amazed the people wasn't where the man had been, it wasn't who the man had met. It wasn't looking at his life from the abstract, it was looking at the finer details of the man's life, reading between the lines and seeing the things the man had kept to himself, the secrets, his own and ones shared to him by others. The people found it all so moving and they were brought to tears. And Shad finishes the verse with the lyric, "They wept joyfully, the greatest story no one told, which is the story of an ordinary man growing old."
So he wrote every quote spoken and left every breath kept sketched in the next step of concrete. Then death crept and led him to his bed. As the sun began to rise, he titled his surprise The Story of the Man That Died. Then his wife and the townsfolk awoke and were shocked, first by his passing, but then by what he wrote with his chalk. They got the roads blocked by a flock of postmen and cops. He rode from his lot to the edge of town close to the docks, where he used to watch the boats and often joke with his pops. His folks had not long ago passed, and now both with them walked. People came from everywhere, they read the story through for days. It wasn't nothing new or strange till they were moved and amazed. It wasn't the places he'd been or the people he'd met, it was the spaces between and the secrets he kept. They wept joyfully, for the greatest story no one told was just the story of an ordinary man growing old. Picture.
And now the hook plays for a second time, this time with the context of the song, and it hits you in a completely different way than hearing it at the onset of the song.
Picture life etched in stone, life sketched in poems on sidewalks and dry chalk next to homes. Picture our youth left alone and kept in reflections, shown we don't sketched in subjective tones. Picture life on a sidewalk, frame it so all you've ever felt, try to name it. It's called you, picture it in the space between steps. It's the grace between breaths and the message in this make-believe text.
I think there's something about this song that we all can find relatable. We're all just ordinary people, and we all carry a lifetime of mostly untold stories. You never know what people are keeping close to their chest or under their hat, whether it be hardships or successes, whether it be their secrets or those that they're holding for others. And oftentimes the greatest stories in life are ones from those of just ordinary people, something we can all find relatable. I don't think that the main point of the song is that there's beauty in the secrets, but I do think that there is something to that. I think we as men have a tendency to keep things close to our chest or under our hat, whether you call it stoicism or being guarded or bottling things up, whatever you want to call it. I think that's something that we do as men, and I'm not saying this is exclusive to men, but I am a man, so I can only speak on behalf of men. And I know that there's things that we're all taking to the graves with us, whether it be our own or other people's secrets. But I think the real moral of the song is just that there's a real beauty in just living an ordinary life. And when you look at it from the abstract of someone whose life is over, it's easy to look past it. You can talk about their family they're leaving behind, or their profession when they were alive, or their likes, hobbies, interests, or their accomplishments. but oftentimes the true beauty lies in between the lines. And those are stories that go untold, but in this song, when the people were presented with it, it was a real moment for them. I just think there's something really beautiful about the way Shad put this song together. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. I appreciate you. If you're here because you're a fan of Shad, let me know, because I feel like I can make 20 videos about Shad. And if you made it this far and you're not a fan of Shad, I hope you are now. I'll throw a link to his Spotify in the description. You should go through his discography. He's pretty incredible. Alright, kiss, hug. Love you. Peace.